All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible magic that pretty much powers our entire digital lives. We're going deep on the universal language that lets all our favorite apps and services talk to each other. From your weather forecast to your food delivery.
I mean, have you ever really stopped to think about that? How does your weather app actually get the forecast? How does your food delivery app know which restaurants are open right now? They're all separate, but somehow they have to communicate. How on earth do they understand each other? Well, the secret is something called a web API. Think of it as a universal translator that allows completely different pieces of software, written by different people, maybe in totally different programming languages, to perfectly understand each other's requests and data. It's kind of the secret sauce.
Now, to make this super simple, we're going to lean on one really powerful metaphor for this whole explainer. I want you to imagine the internet's communication system is like a giant global postal service. In this world, a RESTful API is just a standardized mailbox that sends and receives universal postcards. Keep that picture in your head because it's going to make everything else just click into place.
So let's start by cracking open this mailbox and taking a closer look at the postcards it uses. What are the rules that make this whole system so reliable and, well, universal?
So the mailbox itself, it operates on a set of rules called HTTP. This is the foundation of the web, the protocol everyone agrees to follow. It defines the actions you can take. So when an app wants to get information, it sends a GET request. That's literally like checking your mailbox for new mail. And when it wants to send new info, it uses a POST request, just like dropping a letter in the box to be sent out. Simple, right? Everyone agrees on these rules, and that's what makes it a standard.
Okay, so what about the messages themselves? Well, they're written on a universal postcard format called JSON. This is how the actual data, the weather info, the restaurant menu, whatever it is structured so that any application anywhere can read it instantly. No translation needed.
So, why JSON? What makes it the perfect digital postcard? Well, for starters, it's language independent. Doesn't matter if your app is written in JavaScript, Python, or Java, it gets JSON. It's also simple enough for a human to actually read, which is a massive plus for developers trying to figure things out. And for computers, it's incredibly lightweight and super fast to process. It's pretty much the perfect, most efficient postcard for the digital age.
So if the rules are universal, what's different? Well, let's jump back to our mailbox analogy. The mailbox has to be built by someone, right? And just like in the real world, you can have two totally different craftsmen build the exact same thing using completely different tools and materials.
So on the left, let's say we have our carpenter. They're using Node.js and Express, working with JavaScript, a material known for being really fast and great at handling lots of tasks at once. And on the right, we've got our welder, using Python with Flask. That's a whole different set of tools, known for clean, readable syntax and a more straightforward, step-by-step approach. And you can see the difference right here. Look, to set up an address, Node uses apt-get, while Python uses this thing called a decorator. To send that JSON postcard back, they use slightly different commands. Even their core philosophies are different, but the end result, it's an identical, functioning slot on the mailbox that speaks the exact same universal language.
And that's the crucial point. It doesn't matter one bit to the mail carrier or to the app making the request if that mailbox was built with wood or with steel. All that matters is that it follows the universal postal rules. It accepts the standard requests, and it sends back the standard JSON postcards. The craftsmanship inside is totally irrelevant to the outside world.
This brings us to the really fundamental idea that makes the entire modern internet tick. It's all about these two beautiful and powerful concepts: abstraction and standards.
You see, the real magic here isn't the specific tool, whether it's Node.js or Python. It's the shared standard they both agree to use, HTTP and JSON. This is called abstraction. All the complex, messy internal machinery is hidden away inside a box that just has a simple, standard slot on the outside. You don't need to know how the gears turn inside. You just need to know how to use the interface.
So let's put it all together. The entire interaction, every single time, boils down to these three simple steps. 1. Your phone sends a standardized HTTP request. 2. The server, built by either our carpenter or our welder, does its own unique internal work to process it. And 3. It packages the answer into a universal JSON postcard and sends it right back. Simple, elegant, and incredibly powerful.
Okay, so we get the mechanics. But so what? Why is this so important? What does it actually mean for us in the real world?
This whole system, these standardized mailboxes and universal postcards, it's the reason you can use Google Maps inside of a ride-sharing app or pay with your credit card on basically any website. It is the invisible backbone connecting thousands of independent services into the seamless digital world we use every single day. Without it, the internet would just be a bunch of isolated islands instead of a thriving, interconnected globe.
And this quote from our source material just hits the nail on the head. The core rules of the road, they don't change. The only thing that changes are the tools and frameworks that developers get to use to build their part of the system. This freedom to choose the best tool for the job, while still playing by the same universal rules, is what drives all the innovation we see.
So, we've seen how this universal language of HTTP and JSON built the world we live in right now. But as technology keeps evolving with AI and the Internet of Things, you have to wonder, what will the postcards of tomorrow look like? What will that next universal language be? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.